and today I'm going to show you and also talk about a new game that I've been playing for a while. That game is Day of Dragons. That is an online survival game that is set in a large open world with multiple biomes, and it's still in development, but it has quite an interesting history. I won't go too much into detail about that because that's not really necessary. I'm just gonna point out the most important parts. In September 2019, the game first appeared on Kickstarter, which is one of the most popular crowdfunding sites, where anybody can support a project early, in an early phase, and in return they will have some special privileges and will be the first ones to actually use the product. In the case of Day of Dragons, all those supporters are going to get special dragons that other people can't have. So the first version of the game was developed by a single developer, pretty much similar to Dragons of the Edge, another game that I play on my channel, and it used dragon models that can be bought on a market. So the goal of the Kickstarter project was to raise $12,000 to hire a developer who would create a first unique custom dragon for the game. But actually the project was so successful that it actually raised $500,000. Remember, the original goal was $12,000, but it actually raised $500,000, which is quite crazy, and then they could just hire a whole development team instead of just one developer. So the alpha version of the game was released in December of 2019. There were only a few patches to the alpha game, but in the last 12 months the entire development was just focused on the beta version. So how I actually found this game was I was looking for another dragon game that would suit my channel and my whole theme of the channel, and something that I could also enjoy. There's no point in playing a game I'm not gonna like. So why it was so hard to actually find this game is because I wanted to see something about dragons. But literally almost everything I found was just dragons were these big villains, these big bosses on the end of levels and stuff. And very rarely were they actually either you could ride a dragon or be the dragon, so I was pretty glad to find this game. And many of them were quite old and with toxic communities, so I did not want to include that on my channel. But the problem with new games is that in most cases they're not actually released yet, but some of them already have communities and fans for many years because, they were in development. So when I first saw this game, I was pretty impressed. The graphics were pretty great in just the alpha version already, and it was very amazing that you could play as the dragon. You literally almost never actually have that. Even in School of Dragons, you're riding the dragon. Yes, you can hide your Viking, but that was only added some time ago. So the game is available only on Steam, which makes installation and future updates quite easy. And for now, it only works on PC. So the version for Mac is also promised, but after the official release for PC, so that will take a while. So there was no mention of mobile devices being able to play this game, and it's probably because of the advanced graphics, which are just amazing, and the huge open world with many players. So it's probably not gonna be able to ever be on phone. So the game costs €16.95, and the point of that is you need to pay that to play the game, but in that case you're gonna have that subscription forever. You don't have to, it's not a monthly or anything, you will have it forever, and all the updates will also be free. Yeah, the problem is the game actually can't be played without money at all, but it's actually cheaper. This lifetime subscription is smaller than just 3 months of membership in School of Dragons, which is a game I mostly play, which has way worse graphics, and it's not open world either. Yeah, School of Dragons has a lot of things, it has quests and stuff, but this game, if you're looking for an amazing world with amazing graphics and amazing animations, then you're probably gonna want that more than School of Dragons. School of Dragons is more just for the diversity of all the dragons and just the world because of how to train your dragon. There are also options to buy a soundtrack or additional dragon in the game. So when I started playing it, as I said before, I was actually playing it in the alpha version, but I got quite lucky because some people waited years for this, but I only played it a few days before the beta version came, so I got to experience the alpha still, but I also could play beta very fast. The only frustrating bit about that is everything I learned in the alpha version just kind of disappeared in beta. The rules changed a lot, there was way more things, and just pretty much everything you learned there you kind of throw out of the window and start over, which was It was kind of annoying. Everything was different. The map, the dragons, food, and most importantly, flying. Flying is... They wanted to make it very realistic, but that means it's harder, and you know what, how frustrating it is. When you're flying forward, then you have to turn around, and you suddenly start going down, so you have to go up. Like, I get it's realistic, but it's kind of hard. So if you ever played like a flight simulator or something like that, it should be easy for you. But if you're like me and only played more unrealistic games like School of Dragons or Dragons of the Age or anything like that, it's gonna be hard. So the sad thing was, the alpha version had 4 dragons. They were all different, they all had great animations, many different colors. So yeah, when you log in, you actually get like a random color, so you can't actually choose how you look like. But they had so many different things. And then suddenly beta came, and it was weird, because like, there was only 2 dragons. One of them doesn't even fly. That was quite ridiculous. Like, to me, I was like, why? And also, the main dragon that you have, because the other one you have to buy, or either like if somebody calls you to like hatch, like then you can have the other dragon that doesn't fly, but like otherwise you're only stuck with 1 dragon. And if you have noticed, that dragon is literally a Night Fury. It's actually called Shadow Scale, and after 1.5 years of development, they made Toothless. Are you kidding me? They made Toothless, and guess his abilities. Guess that dragon's abilities. It can become invisible, which literally has never been really done, and now they did it on a dragon that surprisingly looks like Toothless, has a tail like Toothless, has wings like Toothless, has a body shape like Toothless, only the face is actually different, walks like Toothless, acts like Toothless, even like all the special movements and stuff look like Toothless, like a Night Fury, and it's kind of ridiculous. Like, and guess what, it can also go into alpha mode. Wow, that was literally, like, can you really tell me any dragon that has such an ability like Toothless with the alpha mode thing? No. We're just gonna include it. I'm sure nobody's gonna notice that the show is dead anyways. I mean, I'm just kind of like, that's ridiculous. This game has so much potential, and then they decide to literally copy one of the most popular dragons in the world. Other dragon is actually called Asset Spitter, and you can buy it for 6.59 euros. But you can actually get it if you get an egg from another player, but I'll talk about that later. So the game menu will actually show you 2 more dragons and 1 creature, but they're currently not playable. So every time you have like a loading screen, it will pretty much show you like many other cool dragons that will be available in the future, but they're not available now, so you're just stuck with the 2 I mentioned. So this is a survival game, which obviously the main goal is just to survive. But in this game, it can be very hard. When they wanted to make it realistic, they made it realistic. You literally feel like a dragon that has hatched and has to literally fight against either just the environment or the whole world and other players. So when I first started playing, I died many times because I couldn't get food or water, but you kinda like learn eventually, but it's very hard. So it was pretty easy with the alpha version because there was already so many like guides, tutorials, and most importantly maps. But when open beta arrived, I started playing it immediately, and there was nothing because like nobody had time to make anything yet. Because when I was playing alpha, I literally came in like the last second when everybody already explored anything you can possibly explore. So in the alpha version, the main open map was actually a desert with a few oases, and it was very obvious where to look for food because like it's a desert and you can just see that little patch of life out of nowhere, so it's pretty easy to find it. But now in beta, it's mostly woods, plains, and mountains, and food is honestly very hard to find. Even though you're in a forest, you can't eat everything, which... yeah, that does add to the realism of the game, but it also adds to the hardness of just surviving. So that will luckily change in the future, because they will add, like, AIs, creatures that will be food resources, but currently there's really only bugs, which are kind of those. You have mushrooms, and of course you can also eat other dragons, which means other players, but that you, like, need to be bigger than them, and you need to know, like, how to kill them and stuff. It's honestly quite a shock for me and people like who really like School of Dragons, because it's very different. It's very much more like Dragons of the Edge, where you can kill other players and fight and stuff like that. In School of Dragons, you don't have that, because that is just like, it's like a... It's more of a child game because it's obviously based on a cartoon, and obviously they wouldn't put fighting in because that would make no sense. That's not the point of the game, but of this game, it is. The point is to survive, and you can survive in many ways. Pretty much you need to hatch. If you die, hatch again, grow, find food and water, and survive in the cruel world of dragons. So yeah, you literally need to grow up every single time. You can't just, you know, you die and you just suddenly respawn the same as you are. No, you gotta start over the whole process, which it can be quite frustrating if you're like so close to being able to fly and stuff, and then suddenly somebody comes and kills you. That is quite frustrating. So it's gonna take you around 3 hours to become an adult when you're playing with the Shadow Scale, or should I say Night Fury? Shadow Scale. I mean that... Anyways, and it's gonna take you around 2 hours when you're playing with an Acid Spitter. So one other thing of the game is the whole hatching concept. That means you literally need to find an appropriate mate of the same species, find a suitable site for a nest, do the courting dance, lay on eggs, provide food and water for the hatchlings, and also protect them from other hostile players. So the next generation of dragons is gonna have improved genes, which means you pretty much need to mate and hatch many times to have as good statistics as possible. So when you become adult, you can actually start a journey to the next level, which is to be the Elder Dragon. Elder Dragons, they're much bigger, stronger, and louder than standard adults, and you can currently only become them by eating a lot of special mushrooms, blue if you play with the Shadow Scale, and yellow if you play with the Acid Spitter. So those special mushrooms are unfortunately very rare, they're very hard to find, and it's very easy to get killed while you're searching for them. I learned that the hard way many times. And for now, there's no single player option, so you have to play multiplayer, and which means you can't avoid other players. You just need to connect to one of the servers from the list and start playing there. But the main problem with such a concept is that servers are completely independent from each other, which means when you start playing on one server and would advance through the game, become an adult, maybe even elder, your achievements are only gonna be stored on that server. So every time you connect to another server, you just start again. That's a very big difference to School of Dragons, where pretty much all your progress is saved automatically and you will continue right where you left. Because those two games are very different for a very different type of audience, so if you love School of Dragons and really love its system, then you might not actually like this game because it's very challenging. And School of Dragons also has many servers, but that is pretty much handled seamlessly in the background, invisible to us players. So in Day of Dragons, there are several official and many unofficial servers. I would 100% recommend playing on official servers, because they will, then in that case, your progress won't just disappear, because that can happen if a server is unofficial. And also most players do play on official servers, and unofficial servers are mostly empty, even though that could be a good thing if you want to just like practice and how to like grow and stuff. It's not gonna be good if everything just goes to waste and the server disappears. So there are two types of servers, PvP and PvE. So PvP means player versus player, while PvE means player versus the environment. So in the PvE, a player can't actually kill you, even though there is like a way of like, if you're an adult, you can like pick up the little one, the hatchling, and like try to throw it, but that's kind of complicated. So each type can also have RP in front, which means roleplay. It's not enforced, you don't have to roleplay, but on such servers it is encouraged to have roleplays. So if you're a beginner, you should definitely start with the PvE server instead of PvP, because the game is already hard enough by itself, and it's just harder if you need to fight other dragons and try to escape them. So the beta has been released on July 21st, so by now there are a lot of resources and guidelines that can help you with the game. Just make sure that you always look for open beta, because the ones from alpha, as I mentioned earlier, are now completely useless. But if you don't want to do that because it's complicated and it takes a lot of time, I will actually be making a full beginner's guide. I'll try to put everything necessary there, and so you can just like wait for that, because I'll make it eventually, soon probably. So that can really help you, because it's very hard to find all that information. It's not easy at all. Anyways, that will be pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.